Hi, you guys. So we're back for our Crypto 101 series. And in our last episode, we talked about Bitcoin and crypto wallets. Now, we're going to be touching up on that again today, but we're going to be talking about seed phrases. Now, I'm going to let you know, seed phrases are extremely important. Without a seed phrase, you don't have public keys, you don't have private keys, and you don't have addresses. In other words, you don't have anything dealing with crypto if you don't have those seed phrases. But before we get started on this very, very important topic, welcome back to Getting Digital with Deja. So in the early days of Bitcoin, a wallet only generated one private key, which meant one public key and one address. Now, in today's time, crypto wallets allow you to generate an almost unlimited amount of private keys. And those private keys come from what they call a master key. One master key can generate all these private keys, okay? And that master key is also known as a HD wallet or a hierarchical deterministic wallet. Hierarchical deterministic wallet, but we're going to say HD wallet, because I don't even know if I'm saying it right. So we're going to go into the textbook process of what an HD wallet does. And first, it generates a master private key. Then the wallet software uses this to create child private keys and their corresponding public keys, which then form addresses. So you guys remember, private keys and public keys are always created in pairs, okay? Always, always, always. A private key is always going to have a public key, and that public key is going to create an address. So essentially, it's like a triplet. There's always going to be a private key, a public key, and an address tied to the same together, like this. So you're probably like, well, Deja, who creates the master key? Well, the master key is generated from what they call a seed phrase. The wallet uses a seed phrase to create the master key, which will then create an almost unlimited amount of private keys that will then trickle down to public keys and addresses. So when you first set up your crypto wallet, no matter what software or whatever you're using, you're going to be shown a seemingly random thread of 12 to 24 words. Now, these words are not random. These words are actually what's going to be your seed phrase. So with this seed phrase of 12 to 24 words, the words in the order of the words are equally important, because the words in specific what word it is and a specific order that it's in come together, and that's what's going to make your seed phrase, okay? So even if someone supposedly figured out the words that are being used in your seed phrase, they still got to get the order of it right. But for someone to even guess what words are being used in your seed phrase, they have to guess out of a defined list of 2,048 words. So first they gotta find out how many words are in your seed phrase. Then after that, they have to figure out what words out of the 2,048 words from a defined list are inside of your seed phrase. And then they have to figure out the exact order of those words. That's like high level security, if you ask me. So the reason why the software uses words instead of numbers for your seed phrase is essentially because it's scientifically proven that words are a lot easier to remember than numbers. But with this software, you have to understand it's still a numerical kind of based software. So what it does is those words correlate to a specific number. So those words that are in your seed phrase, when they're in the correct order, is going to be converted by the software into a string of digits, and that is how the software is going to read your seed phrase. So at the end of the day, in the back end, it's still like numbers, but when it's seeing in our eyes and our brain, it's words. So depending on what kind of wallet or software that you're using, a seed phrase can be like AKA, also known as a wallet seed, a mnemonic seed, a recovery seed, a recovery phase. Like all those things, all those words together basically mean the same exact thing. So you might see it phrased differently, but at the end of the day, it's a seed phrase. And we're gonna go over exactly what a seed phrase is. So it's like, okay, you're talking about seed phrases, but we still don't really know what it is. Well, I'm about to tell you. So a seed phrase essentially can be used to recover your wallet, okay? So those phrases, you're supposed to write them down, put them somewhere safe, and they don't want you to ever take a picture of it or have any digital trail of it at all, because if someone gets those seed phrases, they have access to your entire wallet. They have access to your private keys, your public keys, and your addresses, and your master key. And of course, with crypto, if someone steals your wallet or steals your crypto, you can not get it back because it's through an anonymous type of system, so no one can prove that it was actually your wallet. So these seed phrases are not just important for recovering your crypto wallets, it's also really important for doing any transactions or anything to do with your crypto wallet, okay? If you don't have those seed phrases, you don't have any control or any access to your crypto wallet. Okay, but I do want this to be understood. Just because you lose access to your seed phrases or you just don't know what they are, doesn't mean that your crypto disappears. It's still on blockchain and everything, it's just inaccessible to you. And because we are the sole owners of our crypto, that means it's inaccessible to anyone if it's not accessible to you who was the original owner of it. Unless somebody finds those seed phrases and then gets into your wallet, now it's theirs. As long as you have your wallet seed phrase, you will always have access to the funds and the coins inside of that wallet, no matter if something happens to that wallet. So if your computer breaks down or something, or just like anything in this world happens, you can go and you can download that same wallet software that you were using before and recover your funds and your wallet by using that seed phrase. So no matter what happens to any device that you're on, as long as you have that seed phrase, you are okay. But it doesn't even have to be that exact wallet. If you wanted to use a different wallet, you can still use the same seed phrase, because all the keys in that HD wallet are derived from that seed phrase. So your private keys, your public keys, your addresses, everything are derived from that seed phrase. So in reality, as long as you choose something that is HD compatible with your coins that you have, then you can use a completely different wallet, but use the same exact seed phrase and still recover your funds and your coins. So that seed phrase is always going to generate the same exact private keys, and this is only possible because of a universal standard known as the BIP39. So the BIP39 is a universal standard that allows this master key to work on different compatible wallets and software programs, okay? It's a universal standard. So you can always recover your crypto even if you choose to switch completely different softwares. If it weren't for these HD wallets and these seed phrases, you would literally have to keep track of all your private keys and all the addresses that you own. Now, that is a lot if you're really invested inside of crypto and you have a lot of different crypto coins. That is a lot, and that is a headache, and that is also like a breach in security, because now you're responsible for all those keys, and what happens if you lose one of them? So the HD wallet gets rid of any worry that you have to keep track of your private keys, and it allows you to just use that seed phrase to be able to access all of your funds. So you could have like 1,000 different private keys because you have 1,000 different cryptocurrency coins, right? You don't have to remember not one private key. Not one. All you gotta remember is that seed phrase. And it's not even just remembering a seed phrase. Most people, what they do with that seed phrase is, and they even tell you when you're setting up your crypto wallet to write it down. Write it down, put it up, and then write it down and put it up in multiple places. So if one place gets destroyed, you still have access to it in a different form or fashion. Because again, these seed phrases are tremendously important. If you lose your seed phrase, you lose your wallet. Okay, so now let's go over a little summary of what we talked about today. So when setting up your crypto wallet, you're going to be given a string of 12 to 24 random words, but they're not random at all. The specific words and the specific order of the words are equally important, and that is going to be known as your seed phrase. Now with that seed phrase, it creates one master key. Now with that master key, it's going to create an almost unlimited amount of private keys, which also creates the public keys and the addresses. Now you have to remember that private keys and public keys are always created in pairs. All of your private keys are generated from and tied to your seed phrase. This seed phrase can be used to not only access your wallet and the funds inside of it, but to also recover your wallet. Now remember, no matter what happens to your wallet, as long as you have that seed phrase, you can still access those funds by downloading a HD compatible software or the same exact software wallet that you had before, and just use that seed phrase, and it would allow you to recover all of those funds. And that is possible because of the universal standard known as the BIP39, which essentially just means that those seed phrases are always going to generate the same exact private keys. Always. And it's very hard to guess these seed phrases because it is from a defined list of 2,048 words, and it has a string of 12 to 24 words. You don't know which one it's going to be. Then on top of that, it has to be in a specific order in order for it to work. Because remember, those words are actually converted on the back end through the software into the form of digits, into a string of digits. That's how the software reads it. So if it's not in a specific order, it's not going to be in the specific digits, so it's not going to work. So that means it's very, very hard and almost impossible to hack into, but nothing is impossible in my opinion. And just because you lose those seed phrases does not mean that you lose all your crypto. Your crypto is still on the blockchain, you just don't have access to it. It's inaccessible to you or anybody else unless those seed phrases are found and then put onto the software to where it can be accessed. So your crypto doesn't just disappear, you just can't use it. You just can't access it without those seed phrases. Now that we finished going over the fundamentals of crypto wallets and HD wallets, we're going to move forward on Friday talking exactly about what kind of wallets exist and which kind of wallet best works for you. You got cold wallets, hot wallets, you got non-custodial wallets, custodial wallets. Like, all of those things are very important to you as a crypto holder and to how you can be able to access your funds and how you want to deal with your funds, okay? Now, I'm going to be going over that in Friday's video, like piece by piece, to make sure you understand everything. So come back for more for our crypto series. But never forget that pretty girls can do crypto too. I'll see you guys on Friday. Toodles.